Hey guys, Jalen here from TBIJalen Infinity doing my pros and cons episode 6. This is going to be on Def if you haven't seen from the title. Def is quite an interesting archetype. They got a lot of support from BTO5. Not everything from BTO5 is on this simulator, like I always say. Not every single card is noticed on here, but I do have a couple of cards that I will note that will be from my browser that I'll be showing off, but without further ado, I want to start the pros and cons of Def. Alright, one notable thing I can tell you about Def is that they have decent draw power just like everything else in Darkness Dragon World. This is mainly due to Abyss Symphony just being a great card, so, they all have decent draw power in late game. And it's not hard to get a 6 or less life in this deck because a few cards lower your life, and then you can keep your life up with the next pro I'm about to mention, which is decent life gain. The decent life gain comes from cards such as Gallows, and from cards, whoops, I accidentally got rid of an Ephialtis, but from a card such as Gallows, and cards like Devil's Stigma, where the hell did I put it? So, like, these cards, are really, really good in a sense where they can just get you gauge and get you a life, and when Gallows does his, deals his damage with his great Shadow Dive ability, then you can gain 1 life when you deal damage. So both of these cards just help keep your life up a little bit, because there are some life-taking cards, such as a few that I'll get on to. One great notable one is Death Wizard. This deck has terrible stats. Like, Death Gaze is the closest they'll get to like the strongest monster that Death ever has. Like, oh my god. Like, other than like, where is he? Death Ruler 13, who has 13k attack. Like, everything else is weak. Like, even the freaking other size 3 they have is freaking 5k power. Then 3k and belows and everything. Oh my god, this deck is super weak. Like, thank god a majority has Shadow Dive, or these things would be garbage, because their stats cannot hold up against anything. Another con about the deck is they're very, very removable. Just about everything in his deck is susceptible to any counter removal in any world. Like, they're all hit by Ancient Worlds, Dragonflame Cascade and Dragon Thunder. They're always gonna be everything gets Pillar Fired. Everything gets Death Gripped. Everything gets Sudden Death / Dragonic Thunder, Demon Break / everything is fucking removable, which is really sad. But they do make up for it because at least they can use Dark Energy. They don't really gain anything out of this, though, so I won't count as a con, because it gives counterattack, but like I said, these things are so goddamn weak that counterattack most likely will never go off. So I don't want to count that as a con. Like, they can save their monsters, so woohoo, but like, you only got 4 copies at max, and I'm only putting 4 of everything just so you like can see all of them. But like, it's just every single one of them have like just weak stats, and they're very removable. But one really great thing about this deck, as you can see right here with Death Ruler Mastermind on the right, they have really good drop zone interaction. They have not only Death Ruler Mastermind, but I'm going to get onto my my Firefox browser, and you get to see this next card. It's also in BTO5 that isn't on the simulator, so I'm using my browser. Got Black Agenda. If you don't know what this card does, it's a set spell that you set for free, and when a death monster on your left or right is destroyed, you may pay 1 gauge, and if you do, you may call a size 1 death monster with a different card name from that card and call it as rest by paying its call cost. You can only set 1 Black Agenda. This card is really great because it allows you to just get back anything after it's been destroyed by just simply paying 1 gauge, and that's simply nothing. Like, they do have a small issue that I'll have to mention right here, that's gonna add on to their cons. They have really bad gauge issues. Like, it's atrocious. Like, this cost gauge, let me go back to Buddyfight area, but this costs Death Gaze cost gauge, Ephialtis and Gallows cost gauge, Abriel cost gauge, Death Ruler Blix that we don't have yet, but this cost gauge, Mastermind cost gauge. But like, I can notably say, just because you can see it right here, they have really easily ways to get back the gauge. So that's a pro. Um, Cards like Death Wizard and Devil Stigma and even Vampire Fang, because this is a death, so why not if you feel like it. Um, like these cards just gain you back your gauge that you've been using up, and also like they come at a minimal cost. Like Death Wizard is just like you take 1 damage and then gain 2 gauge, and then Devil Stigma, you destroy a monster, but you most likely will use it when your monster is going to be destroyed anyway, so you can just get the free gauge and a life. So they kind of help interactively, because then this lose you a life, then Devil Stigma gains you a life, so you're always going to be at the same amount of life that you started off with, and you can possibly get up to 4 gauge in that single moment. So that's really, really great. But one notable thing, because of these things, terrible stats, and Shadow Dive does ignore a center, so they ignore walls. So I don't think this deck has any problem with walls. So that's a really good pro about the deck. They like this and Gallows and other cards all have like Shadow Dive, so they just ignore centers. So they don't have to worry about your opponent having a Seeger out or anything like that. Like this deck has like possibly the best Seeger matchup in the game. So this deck like just ignores walls. But the reason they're so bad against certain matchups is because of their weak stats. They lose to any deck that has a freaking weapon defense. And what I mean by this, weapons with defense, such as Gold Ritter, which they have the worst matchup in, saying this right now, Ultimate Contest deck. Gold Ritter fucking destroys them. Oh man, I can't even mention how many fucking moments that they'll never be able to fucking defeat Ritter. Once Ritter's out, they can barely even fucking link. Like, you have freaking 5k power here, 2k power here, 2k power, 3k power here. Like, you need, like, oh my god, 1k power, 5k power. Like, you need multiple of these just to hit Ritter once. Like, oh my god, they're so goddamn weak that Ritter just absolutely wrecks this matchup. And then they can't constantly keep calling stuff to center because Penetrate from Ritter. And then Ritter can even run Dragon Shield, of course, Drago Energies. They already have a hard time hitting the 10k line. But I can say somewhat that their next pro, which is their decent monsters, decent at best, help. Death Ward 13 single-handedly helps them in this. And Midnight Shadow can defend him, Dark Energy can defend him, so he won't be easily destroyed, but like, he'll just allow you to keep hitting Ritter, so, without having to call anything else, so, woohoo. And I guess they have a size 0, but this thing's super weak. Like, it's the opposite of a Guard clone. It's got 3,000 defense and 2k power, which is just bad, and 1 critical is not that good either. But even if I mentioned that they have 1 critical here, 2 critical here, this deck has an amazing damage output. This is mainly due to, like, the most broken spell they ever fucking gonna get, Judgment Day. Look at this card. Cast cost, pay 1 gauge. For this turn, all death monsters on your field get +1 critical. Okay, so, fucking, wow, just really? Just, wow, Bushiroad, just, okay. Have triple Gallows on field. Fucking go for that. Get 9 critical on board, and then gain 3 life. That seems so great, but like, I mean, I'm exacerbating the fucking fact, because that would cost like 4 gauge, because 3 gauge to call all 3 Gallows, and then 1 for the Judgment Day. But the thing is, the damage output is great because of that. Like, this is a 1 critter Shadow Die, but this will become 2. This becomes 3 crit, and it's easy to call. It's just so good. And then same with the Soul Guard one here, and I think I passed Abriel. Yeah, Abriel's right here. It's just such a good synergy. But another great pro I can find about this deck is that it has great monster removal. Like, they have like just all things Darkness Dragon World can have, which is a Death Grip. If you want, you can play Sudden Death. For some reason, you have Death Shield. Where the fuck is it? Death Shield right here. Like, they have really great monster removal. Like, monsters cannot be too problematic against them because they just easily can get around every single monster in the game except for size 3s. And then even said before, like, they ignore walls so they can just keep going at the opponent. And oh my god, they have a really good matchup against a lot of things. Relatively, this deck doesn't have the best impact. I'm trying to put it up here. Nightmare Despair. I mean, there are other ones, but every single other impact doesn't work in this deck. Like, Distortion Punisher won't work because you already have Shadow Dive, so you're mainly ignoring the center, so if there is one, it won't work. You don't have enough to do 4 gauge. You can't, like, this impact is just not good for them. You need 5 more def, if you have 5 more def in your drop zone, then that's when you can only cast this. The cast cost is pay 3 gauge, still nonetheless. And then the monster in your opponent's center becomes stand, and for this turn it gets 1 critical and attacks your opponent. It's pretty funny when you do it to a Seeger player, like, haha, your own fucking Seeger hit you in the face. But the only time that's gonna matter is usually when they have Spartan, or like, trolliness, they have a fucking Tempest Enforcer. So they do 4 crits to their face. But, honestly, it's just a bad impact until at least, the perfect pack, the golden buddy pack card here, Death Rule or main foul. When this card enters the field, if your opponent does not have a monster in the center, you can choose a size 2 or less on your opponent's left or right and move it to the center. So it forcibly allows you to get off your impact. So yay there, but still, this card is not too worth it because if the only monsters on their field have, like, say 1 critical, and then you're paying 3 gauge just to do 2 to them, unless it's gonna kill them, then that's pretty bad. And the fact that it attacks your opponent allows your opponent to even nullify the attack with, like, say you're going against Dragon Roll, Green Dragon Shield, and going against a mirror match, Black Dragon Shield, Midnight Shadow, like, at least if it, like, dealt the damage equal to the critical +1 or something like that, then it could have been better because then only Chillax clones can deal with it. But no, since it's forcibly an attack, it's too easy to stop. It's not worth the investment. The impact is just terrible. And then one last con that I feel like it coincides with this deck. It's really hard not to play Rush. Because these things don't have good enough stats to keep defending themselves, so they can't be control. They're not so tempo much because they don't make your opponent play too much into your hands because these monsters are too removable to stay on the board for so long. And just all the reasons I've said before, like, there's just too many problems with this deck trying not to be Rush. So, but effectively it is their best play style, so it's not really much of a con, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have any diversity, and I think most decks should have diversity of how you want to play it, but this deck doesn't have that luxury. They're really good. They're pretty decent weapons. I mean, I won't compliment them too much because they're not anything too special. Like, you have a freaking Boulder Piercing Drago Fearless clone right here. You have 3 crit, 4,000 power, pay 2 gauge weapon, and then you have a free Shadow Dive 1 card. Like, they're not bad, but they're not that good. The last pro of the deck is really great item/spell removal. Guillotine Cutter is single-handedly the best spell removal in the fucking item removal in the entire fucking game, because once you're playing against Darnish Dragoroll, everyone's scared to attack with their weapon first. I mean, always have to attack with their weapon first, because they attack with their monsters, they're scared of a Guillotine Cutter. Guillotine Cutter is so easy. You take damage, you could even deal the damage yourself with most cards. And, like, you could even deal damage with, like, another card here, that I'm about to show right here. Nightmare Revive, which is their other drop zone interaction card. I think I might have not shown this earlier, but I'm sorry. But it's basically their Black Revenger, but they don't need to have Life Break 5 to use it. You deal 2 damage to yourself, which is really important, like I said, Guillotine Cutter. And then you get 2 size 2 or up to 2 size 2 or less monsters with Death Rule in their name, for your drop zone to put them in your hand. So like they have really good monster. Like I said earlier, they have really great drop zone interaction. They have really great item removal, monster removal. They have so many things going for them. So I would say my final verdict on Def is really good deck. It really has problems once there's going to be more decks with defensive items. So say something like Hero World with the transform abilities, and if they get good enough defense and they can just keep blocking them off, then, or anything, just Ritter becoming more popular somehow, just like this deck would just fall apart. But without those decks around, there's not many things to stop this deck. So I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to Team Ranking for more Buddyfight content. Comment down below what you want to see me review in the next pros and cons next week. So without further ado, I'll end this video. Jalen from Team Infinity going out.